It's a wild night out there with heavy rain, strong winds, and rapidly falling temperatures. We'll step you through it and talk about the big change ahead.
A man is fighting for his life in the hospital tonight, pulled out of a burning home earlier this evening. We'll tell you what we know so far from West Haven fire officials.
A massive gathering tonight in Hartford to show support for a non-binary teen from Oklahoma who died after an attack at school. We're listening to the message Connecticut community members are sending to all LGBTQ kids across the country.
Fox 61, Connecticut's news station, begins with a weather watch alert.
And we begin tonight on the weather. A storm system is making its way across Connecticut, bringing strong winds and rain with it. Thanks for joining us here at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. It's been raining off and on all day, but the winds have really picked up out there tonight. You can really tell things are shifting and temperatures are starting to change.
Plenty to be on the lookout for. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frame joins us now with a timeline of what to expect and just how much those temperatures are set to fall. Rach?
Well, temperatures could drop as much as 25 degrees over the span of 3 or 4 hours or so. Luckily, we do have the winds out there, which will help kind of dry off the roads before temperatures drop below freezing, but there could still be some sneaky icy spots, especially in any puddles out there overnight. First, we've got the heavy rain out there, and you'll see a cold front taking us from the 50s today into the 20s by daybreak tomorrow. That front just south of I-84 right now, and you're seeing some very intense rain right now from Ashford, Eastford, and Pomfret down through Coventry. If you're in Brooklyn and Killingly and Wyndham, this is heading your way. You're also seeing some of that heavy rain right now approaching Colchester and Oxford and Danbury. But what's this? Yeah, on the back side of this system, as it pulls out of here, some towns could finish as a few wet snowflakes, and there's a chance that some are starting to mix in areas at higher elevations like Heartland, and that might be more of us before this ends up coming to an end. This is the back edge, so it's over by about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Here's a look at current gusts. So far, we've seen gusts up to about 40 miles per hour in spots, and there have been a few isolated outages, although so far it's been relatively minor. We could still see gusts up to 40 or 50 miles per hour in spots. So again, there is still a chance for a few isolated outages, but we shouldn't see significant problems with that. Here's a look as we head through the overnight hours. We continue to see that line progress farther into eastern Connecticut. There are those wet snowflakes to finish, and by daybreak, again, we're looking at temperatures going from 50s down into the 20s to around 30 degrees. So a cold start to the day tomorrow and a blustery finish. A wind advisory goes until 7 a.m. We're going to talk more about what to anticipate as we head into tomorrow. Your full forecast coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. This storm has our state's utility companies on high alert. They brought in additional crews to assist just in case winds cause power outages. Yeah, there are also warnings to drive carefully if you do have to go out there tonight. The roads can be slippery from all that rain and possible debris. Fox 61's Jake Garcia joins us live from our sky deck with more on current conditions and warnings from those state officials. Jake. So, Jake, what do you have for us?
Well, Brent and Sarah, I can tell you that just in the past few hours since the last time I was outside, you can definitely feel the wind picking up and you can start feeling the chill in the air. The rain still falling on and off like it has for much of the day, but this has both the Connecticut Department of Transportation and Eversource both monitoring the forecast very, very closely. As you mentioned, Eversource has brought in crews from outside of the area to be on standby in case of widespread outages, and the Connecticut Department of Transportation has issued this warning to drivers saying that rain and strong wind gusts are expected tonight, which may lead to some local flooding and debris in the roadway. So use caution if you're going to be out tonight and slow down and stay alert. On the other side, Eversource is reminding people to get a storm kit ready in case of prolonged outages, to use things like flashlights, batteries, and water. Eversource also says their main concern with this storm is the strong winds that can bring down trees and power lines. As a reminder, if you come across down wires, stay away and immediately call 911. And of course, Eversource asking that if you do experience a power outage, to report it to them so they can get it fixed. Reporting live from the sky deck, Jake Garcia, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Always good advice. Jake, thank you. And stick with Connecticut's news station for storm updates. You can download the free Fox 61 News app or visit our website, fox61.com, for the latest radar, along with local news and sports in your neighborhood. We're learning new details tonight about a suspicious death that state police have been investigating for 10 days now in Reading. They have identified the woman as 25-year-old Leah Chaparro of Bridgeport. Her body was found by a jogger in a wooded area along Route 53 on the 18th of this month. The cause of death has not yet been released, but police say they are actively investigating.
Witnesses say a deadly hit-and-run incident in Vernon could have been a road rage incident. Vernon police are still looking for the driver who hit and killed 25-year-old James Faulkner while he was on his motorcycle. It happened on Prospect Street in the Rockville part of town. Someone driving a white Infiniti hit Faulkner and crashed into a parked car between Elm and Thompson Street.
I think the white Infiniti was chasing after the motorcycle, yes. The driver that was of the white Infiniti took off from the scene and literally ran down Prospect Street.
Police are combing the area for surveillance video. Anyone with information should contact Vernon Police.
First responders were on the scene of a massive multifamily house fire in West Haven this afternoon that sent 2 people to the hospital. Take a look at the video sent to us by Cottrell Simmons. You can see flames erupting out the back of this home on Dogburn Road. Calls came in around 4 this afternoon. Fire officials tell us one woman was found outside with burns. Another man had to be pulled out of the first floor, and he is fighting for his life, listed in critical condition tonight. 4 families were displaced in total. The investigation into what sparked that fire is underway. Well, the jury in the Michelle Troconis trial wrapped up its first full day of deliberations this afternoon. The state and the defense made closing arguments yesterday.
After 29 days of proceedings, they have hundreds of pieces of evidence to review before coming to a verdict. Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc has been there since day one. She has our breakdown tonight.
Now, jurors came back into the courtroom with a note one time today during the first full day of deliberations, wanting to watch back the full testimony from the very last witness in this trial, who just so happens to be one of Michelle Troconis' closest friends. Now, during Petu's testimony, she talked about how Troconis would consistently have fires in her fireplace at home, no matter the time of year, all in response to the state's accusation that Troconis lit 3 fires at Fort Jefferson Crossing the day Jennifer disappeared, alleging she was burning evidence.
Was the fireplace being used when you went over sometimes?
Yes.
And did you go to Fort Jefferson every season? Did you go in the winter?
Yes,
and
I
the
went
spring?
all the seasons.
Petu is one of dozens of witnesses taking the stand during this trial, one even the judge says is unique because of how complicated it is, the sheer amount of evidence, and the media attention. As a reminder, Troconis is facing charges of conspiracy to commit murder, hindering prosecution, and tampering with physical evidence, all in connection to the presumed murder of Jennifer Farber-Dulos back in May of 2019. Now, prosecutors allege Troconis plotted with her then-boyfriend, Fotis Dulos, to kill his estranged wife and then helped him cover it all up. But to this day, Troconis and her defense attorney say she was entirely unaware of what Fotis was doing and planning, and now her fate is in the jury's hands.
The family is waiting, they're apprehensive, and it's like anything, you know, a nail-biting time for everybody, I suppose.
Now, until they reach a verdict, each day the jurors will come back to this courthouse and deliberate from 10 a.m. to 4:45 in the afternoon. We are in Stamford. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Julia, thank you. New tonight, a former Glastonbury police officer is being charged in yet another burglary. Patrick Hemingway is accused of stealing merchandise and cash totaling over $76,000 from Lucky Lou's Bar and Grill in Wethersfield back in May of 2023. Hemingway is the focus of multiple investigations, all related to burglary. Authorities say he stole from dozens of businesses in Connecticut and neighboring states. They also say he accessed a police database to see if any investigators were looking at him for any of those burglaries. Also in Wethersfield, police have arrested a third man wanted in connection to a holdup back in December. Two armed robbers in masks hit an O'Reilly Auto Parts store on Silas-Dean Highway. Detectives tracked down suspects from West Hartford and Hartford earlier this month. Tonight, they announced charges against a New Britain man. All three are out on bond pending court dates.
Massive gathering inside the state capitol. The LGBTQ plus community and state leaders held a vigil to honor a 16-year-old non-binary student from Oklahoma. They died a day after being attacked in a school restroom. Tonight's event was about showing solidarity for non-binary and trans youth all across America. Here's Fox 61's Jake Garcia with the story.
Their name was Nex Benedict. They were a 16-year-old, non-binary, transgender, two-spirit young person from Oklahoma, and they were let down by their village.
More than 100 people filled the state capitol rotunda to honor the life of Nex Benedict, who died a day after being beaten in a school restroom by 3 other students in Oklahoma.
We are not only just honoring Nex, but making sure that we honor all those who haven't been heard or their names haven't been spoken.
Their death comes months after the Oklahoma legislature passed a bill that required students to use bathrooms based on their gender assigned at birth rather than their gender identity.
But today we are all here in honor of the memory of Nex Benedict and in support of non-binary and transgender young people across the state of Connecticut and around the country.
More than a dozen state leaders were in attendance Wednesday, including an emotional Governor Ned Lamont.
We want our kids to be who they are. We want them to be respected. We want them to be loved. And when I heard about that death, it was like a death in my own family.
The governor reassuring the LGBTQ plus community belongs in Connecticut.
We're not going to be that bad village. We're going to be Connecticut. We're going to stand for each and every one of you. We love you for who you are.
Wednesday's vigil also gave trans and non-binary young people from Connecticut a platform to express their feelings.
Trans kids deserve to grow up, to grow old, and live long, happy lives free from fear. Why is it that almost every trans youth I talk to tells me how they never thought they would live to be 18 years old? I know I didn't. How are we expected to just continue to live our lives like normal while these atrocities are happening?
Young people calling for more actions to protect LGBTQ plus youth, both here in Connecticut and across the country.
I want to remember Nex and honor their legacy. And I think that honoring their legacy means taking action and doing everything we can to ensure that not one more young person has to die for being trans.
And demanding justice. In Hartford, Jake Garcia, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Jake, thank you. We have much more coming up here on the news at 10. Supreme Court justices agree to rule on a case that has major implications in the presidential election. What you need to know coming up next.
A group of Connecticut youth at risk of not graduating high school say they feel like they're being left behind. They spoke today in front of state lawmakers, saying one thing could really help them out. I'll tell you what that is.
And then at 10:30, after a months-long battle, we now know who's leading Bridgeport for another 4 years. But as advocates tell us tonight, the work to weed out potential corruption is far from over. We'll have that story ahead.
We've got the rain and the howling winds out there, and the winds will continue right into the day tomorrow as colder air returns, but the chill won't last. We'll explain coming up.